Namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Do you see issue with my video? My face keeps moving.
The video is shaking continuously.
Okay. I don't know why.
I will read now.
Okay. So last time we completed till here, observance in pious thoughts achieves this goal. From here, acceptance of difficulties.
You will read with this acceptance.
Okay. So we'll continue with problem of living from Silence Speaks. Acceptance of difficulties. Everyone is apt to receive blows in the life of this world. And this has happened in your case regarding your salary. If you cannot think this as a gift from the beloved, think it from Saturn, and you will have some courage. The heaviness will disappear by God's grace, and probably it has already disappeared. Gives the new way of thinking, right? Instead of thinking from the master, think it from Saturn.
Okay.
According to Islamic conviction, we are said to be the offsprings of Adam, who was thrown on this earth for having eaten the forbidden fruit. Naturally, the same thing should pass in us all. But brother, crores of years have passed since the happening of this event. How can there be any effect of it now in your blood? That effect was lost being mixed in blood. Of course, Eve, his wife, has not left chasing us. For generations together, she has been manifesting herself. This very Eve brought us to heaven from our homes, and we were also kicked to this earth by her boots. Brother, what a degradation. Now, if we stop running after this Eve, we will once again regain the lost paradise. Forget the idea that you were Adam, and lo, you will reach the very original abode from which you have come. The story of Adam and Eve finds its correspondence in the story of Manu and Satrupa in our Hindu mythology. You forget that you are Adam, and to free you from Eve is my responsibility. You are now, however, meditating upon the form to get rid of the idea of Adam. Ghalib has written, when there was nothing, God was there. Had I not become this, I would have become God. This becoming has ruined me. What would have happened had I not been? See, here, is he referring to Eve as senses?
No, Eve is a woman, Adam is man. So man, generally, a man or woman in the sense, the gender runs after the opposite gender because it's most powerful and most seducing, most pleasure giving. So, which causes you to be thrown out of the heaven. So he says you give up the idea that you are Adam. That means you give up the idea of gender. And then he says, I will relieve you of the sensual attractions of the physical form, because physical form finally dies, no? Every human being body, as it ages, it finally dies. But then most of the desires of man are related to the physical form of the opposite person, opposite gender, whatever it is. Most powerful influence, or the most powerful influence in a man's mind is when they fantasize and start thinking about the opposite gender. So they are trapped in that this thing. So he says you try to give up the idea that you are Adam, then I'll see that your Eve doesn't bother you much. That's what he's trying to say. Actually, when we are saying divine light without luminosity, God doesn't have a gender, male or female. And when a person moves beyond Brahmanda consciousness, that is, when he lives in the universal consciousness, the idea of gender also vanishes from the mind. So he becomes a kind of a neutral person. So then his mind is, stable. It's not victim of sensuous imaginations, actually. So that's the idea. It's a sensual pleasures only.
Okay.
Very powerful. I mean, it's the most powerful force which keeps you attracted to this world, actually. One of the most powerful forces.
Yes. Anything else on this before we go forward?
This again, you see, if you go to tradition, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he talks of avidya. Avidya, there again, he says avidya has got 4 roots actually. One of the roots also relates to this problem actually. Like one of the root causes for you are not having harmony with God is thinking temporary things as permanent. Like a man believes and he's got a belief that our body is permanent, or the earth is permanent, or the moon is permanent. But actually, scientifically, we also know that they're all changing and they're impermanent. I mean, new galaxies are being formed, and new stars are disappearing. So, but we think that these things are permanent. So that is one of the roots of avidya. The second is we think impure things as pure. For example, most commonly that again relates to the Adam and Eve issue is we think the human body is pure actually. And that's why we get attracted to the, opposite gender. And then we fantasize about it. And then majority of the thoughts at a certain age in certain people will be, the thought content is predominantly composed of fantasies regarding the other gender, thinking that the body is pure. But actually it is impure because it is, if you don't take bath, or if people don't put makeup or this thing, people can be quite generally unattractive. And if a person dies, it starts stinking. So basically it's impure. And that is the idea. So we take impure as pure, and consequently that is one of the important causes of avidya. But if you know that beauty is only skin deep, and if you if you study your own body, it's not so attractive actually if you go beyond the skin. So truth is that, but then man strongly believes that the human body is beautiful and it's worth making all efforts to develop contact with the Eve or Adam, whatever. So that is one of the major causes of avidya. Third is thinking what is painful as pleasurable. So these are the 3 things which are there. And then thinking that this body and mind is the self. Actually, self is beyond space and time. Self is the soul which is behind the body and mind. But we feel that this body and mind is our true nature. So these are the 4 causes of avidya. So this that particular person must have written a letter about his problems, about essential problems probably, and then Babuji is writing to him how he would tackle that problem.
Just give me 2 minutes. Someone, quite call. Okay.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Sir, shall I read?
You read, yes.
Okay. Scoldings. Even scoldings are endured in love, but, dear brother, there is a strange sweetness in those scoldings. And those scoldings can only under intoxication of love. Such a one will never be of loose and low morals. I shall write a famous verse of Surdas when he has uttered in the love of Krishna. You are getting out of the grip of my hand, thinking me to be weak, but I shall consider you really a man if you can get out of my heart. He said this when he had fallen into a well as he was blind, and Krishnaji Maharaj had got him out. Then he had gripped the hand of Krishna, saying that he would not let him go, but Krishna ran away, getting out of his grip.
Actually, this is a real event actually, which has happened in history. This Surdas falling into the well, and then it really happened actually.
Oh. All commit mistakes, and it is the nature of human beings to err. And dear brother, my master had said to me, I shall forgive all the mistakes of others, but not a single one of yours. I was no doubt pleased that this special treatment is due to his special love. A story goes, Majnu smeared his body with ashes and took to begging due to the separation from his beloved Laila. Laila used to distribute distribute bread to the poor every Thursday. Her real intention was that Majnu too should come to her with his begging bowl. She would break away his bowl instead of giving him the bread, and Majnu would get intoxicated with the treatment and would dance with ecstatic joy. The people asked him, Friend, what a fool you are. Um, uh, just can you just go back? What a fool you are. She gives a bread to all others but breaks your bowl, and you dance in mad love. He replied, This treatment is for me alone, and this is the specialty of her love.
So there is a real story also, where I think this is an Arabic story where the king was. I think Majnu was a close relative of the king of that kingdom, and he was quite upset that this fellow is becoming mad because of his love for Majnu. So he calls him to his court, and then he lines up several beautiful women, and he says, "Why are you? That lady is not treating you properly. Why don't you select one of these beautiful ladies and get married to her?" And I believe Majnu was. Laila was not beautiful at all. She was not attractive or beautiful. And then he said, "Why do you go after Laila when you got such beautiful woman?" He says, uh, uh, "Unless you have my eyes, you will not be able to see the beauty in Laila," he says. So the psychological point to note is the love is in the eyes of the beholder, not in the object itself. So that is the point actually. So even though she was ugly, he was madly in love with her. And he says, you will know my love to her only if you can look through the eyes of Majnu. That is the reply he gave to the king actually. So in the same way, each person, when he loves God, each person has his own perception about the God, and that perception, each person's perception is unique in its own way. Each person loves God in a uniquely individualistic way. That's the thing.
Shall I continue?
Continue. Yeah.
Worries, heaviness. You have written that the worldly worries create heaviness in the heart. This proves that the heart is purified to such an extent that even the sweet fragrance of the flower cannot be endured by it. Nevertheless, the worry should be in the flying form so that the heart may not be aware of them. In the flying form means?
They, they don't impact you. I mean, like, you must know that mind is there. Mind lo, whatever arises in the mind, whatever thought arises, it arises, stays for some time, and it dies actually. So it is just like any music is created. Music, it's created and dies away. In the same way, the thoughts also are born, they stay for a short while. You feel the thoughts being born and you feel they're existing for a short while, and then they die actually. So, but the problem is when we identified with ourselves with those thoughts, the problems come. But if you are develop equanimity and then treat them like uninvited guests, after 10 minutes, you will not see the influence of the thought which would have otherwise troubled an ordinary person who is not a yogi. An ordinary person will feel very upset about it, but a yogi, he will know that they're all temporary things, they come and go, so he doesn't get identified with them. So it hardly, even worrying thoughts also will vanish away like any other normal thought. This is only in the case of a person who is meditating and who has developed a sense of equanimity, or his mind has become stable in tranquil condition. Then only it is possible. That means it is just like any other thought, any other indifferent thought. Like suppose a thought comes, some vehicle is traveling, so it doesn't make any effect on my heart actually. In the same way, all worrying thoughts which cause disturbance in normal people will be like indifferent. They come and go without making any impact on the heart, without making an impression on the heart. That is the idea. This will come with practice. That is the why are we practicing meditation? We are practicing meditation so that we'll become free, so that we'll have liberation, so that we'll be in a state of happiness which will not be taken away by any condition actually. That is the reason why we are taken to meditation. That is only possible when your mind becomes stable, and then it becomes calm and tranquil under all conditions. So that is only possible when your mind is absorbed in God, it is absorbed in pious thoughts of the Master, or if it is in harmony with Master's consciousness. Then only true freedom is there. So till that freedom is achieved, we have to keep on practicing sadhana actually. Yeah, next we'll go.
Sir, here it's written that this proves that the heart is purified to such an extent that even the sweet fragrance of the flower cannot be endured. So that means even the good thoughts.
But then it will not leave for a long time. In a yogi, what happens? He is very sensitive, but then it will not leave an impression. Yeah. Like when Babuji went to the house of one of the Abhyasi, the one of the person's daughter was suffering from severe headache, so he transferred part of his life to her because he was so sensitive to others' suffering. So a evolved person will be sensitive, and but then he knows how to clean also, no? So he can clean himself. He gives the example of Saint Kabir. He says somebody goes to the village and then inquires about Kabir, and then the neighbors say that he has gone to the funeral because somebody has died, and he says, how can I know, how can I identify Kabir? He says, you go to the cremation place, you will find a halo around the head of every human being there, because at that time their mind is in a state of renunciation or detachment. So everybody will be glowing with with the purity of the mind. When you're detached, when you have no desires, the mind is pure, and then sattva is dominating, so glow will be there. But when they come back, when they're coming back from the funeral, funeral place, their glow will disappear and it will become black. That means all their buried desires will come up again, and then that glow is lost. Only in Kabir's face that glow will be remaining. So that's how you can diagnose Kabir. That's what the neighbors told him. So idea is the saint doesn't become like a rock. He's got a lively heart. He will be affected by the surrounding environment. But then in one sense, he is also detached. Babuji writes about the story of, of Raja Janak, how his daughter lost the parrot, and then he became, sad with the death of the parrot. Do you think he is not advanced and all that? He writes a story in this book itself. That gives you a clue about this state of mind of an advanced yogi, actually. It doesn't mean that a yogi becomes insensitive or like a rock. He doesn't react. He reacts much more sensitively than ordinary people. In the same, not only suffering, but beauty also. He sees beauty everywhere, so he's always in a bliss. When sun shines on him, like suppose summer, in winter you are feeling cold, I'm wearing a sweater. But you go outside, you feel the warmth, you feel grateful for the warmth, because that simple sensation itself will create a feeling of gratefulness to nature, actually. So in that sense, every experience is a happiness and bliss for a yogi. And in the same way, he can be sensitive to suffering also. Suffering of others. That's why they constantly pray that they develop. They pray that you are supposed to have compassion. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshan. Karuna should have compassion for suffering. So they always pray that everybody should be free from suffering and causes of suffering. So how can how can a person be free from suffering? He can be free from suffering if his mind is disciplined. And his mind can be disciplined only when it is attracted to God, when it is in touch with God, when it is harmony with God. That's why after a stage, universal prayer becomes more and more natural in yogis, actually. As they meditate more and more, they wish for the general happiness of everybody. Okay, next.
Yeah. Do you want to start the next one, or do you want to stop here?
Start one chapter, we'll read, and then how many pages it is?
Yeah, just checking. It's about 8 pages.
So next time we'll read, we'll try to digest all these things, the significant points here.
Yes. Yeah.
One is the Adam and Eve relieving of the attraction of the Eve is my business. He's asking you to meditate on the divine light. Divine light is beyond opposites, beyond heat and cold, beyond likes and dislikes, beyond praise and blame, beyond happiness and sadness, beyond male and female, beyond positive and negative, beyond sakara and nirakara. When you're thinking about divine light without luminosity, when you have this idea of divinity, you should have this idea that it is the subtlest reality, beyond all opposites, beyond all dualities. So duality includes gender duality also. That's why the mind will not be disturbed by sensual thoughts anymore when you're meditating correctly. And if you also practice point A meditation, where you feel that all the people in the world are my brothers and sisters, then mind becomes disciplined very fast. So that's an important point, practical point we can pick up from this. And
Yes.
what was the earlier thing?
Then Laila Majnu.
Laila Majnu.
And
here, Laila Majnu, you get an idea of, you should think of the fifth commandment. I mean, when be truthful, take miseries as divine blessings, own good, and be thankful. That means any suffering which is coming is, there are samskaras inside our consciousness. Those samskaras are like seeds. And when the seed grows, it becomes a plant. And when it becomes a plant, it comes into your consciousness, and then you experience either pleasure or pain. But the seed, when it grows, it exhausts itself also. So the experience of suffering or pain is not a permanent thing. It has got a certain life. Life depending upon many plants like wheat or rice and all, they grow and then die after. They're not like everlasting plants. You can visualize many samskaras of that nature. They have limited lifespan. So the suffering also has got a limited lifespan, but because of the suffering, the samskaras are exhausted, and when they are exhausted, the wheel